Hello and welcome to Is It Fast Live, the weekly magazine programme from the team at Is It Fast, where we handpick our favourite stories from the world of automotive, motorsport, and sometimes the weird and wonderful in between. This week has been a rather busy week as the automotive and motorsport world wake up from their Christmas slumber, which means we finally have something to talk about. This week, BMW give us a car where they magically manage to get it to change colour. Rolls Royce, apparently everybody and their dog is buying one. Volvo, well, it's good news for Volvo lovers. They're staying in their box. Toyota, well, they are going to be unveiling something rather spicy. We have our usual segment where we talk about watches and things that go on your wrist. Aston Martin have got a new boss, and it turns out racing drivers are redundant. But talking of people that are not redundant, is our hostess with the mostess, our co-presenter with the maximum octane of go juice. It's Other Stu. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Doing very well. Thank you very much, Premier Stu. Have you had a good week so far?
Yes. We have lots and lots of exciting stuff going on at Is It Fast, which means you, I, and the back of house team are very, very busy, which is good because listeners and viewers are going to be getting an awful lot from us this year. I say us, for people that do the real work.
Yeah, we are cracking the cat o' nine tails quite a lot recently. We've gone from being those fun bosses, the kind of the lovely kind of dark polo shirt wearers and jeans. It's cool to be in the office. Of course, call me Stu, to kind of no, you're going to start working. The fun stops now. Yeah,
the vacay is over.
But I was actually looking for a little bit of advice from you and our loyal listener before we crack on, if that's okay.
Please do.
I currently have a Ford B-Max parked outside my home. Now, it's not blocking my driveway, and it has been left very responsibly, but it is just a really ugly car. I'm guessing the B stands for bloody awful, and to make it worse, it's brown. Yes, the colour of the car is brown, or brun, if you're listening from Scotland. So I'd like to know if anyone has any legal advice for me, if I could get it crushed into a very small cube. Bearing in mind it's not my car, it's just really offensive to the eyes. So any and all advice welcome. Thank you. Please go into the comments.
Yeah, jump into the comments. Can Stu get a car that he doesn't own, but rightfully should be crushed? Can you get it crushed? There you go. That's an interesting...
It's a metallic brown.
A metallic brown. That sounds positively disgusting.
I'm not going to say what else is brown and can also be found on the street, but it's kind of close to that. Yeah.
That is unfortunate. I will
and it's
say
hard to say my house. Someone might think I own it.
Yeah.
That's what's even more offensive.
Do you own it? Do you own a metallic brown B-Max? This is a safe space. It's between you, me, and the listener.
I don't think any space would be safe if you're actually admitting to... Why would you actually go out and buy a brown car? Can we chuck that out there?
Somebody somewhere walked into a Ford dealership and thought, this is the car for me, which is a little bit of a worry. But if coloured cars...
Do you think it's... Sorry, before we move on, do you think it's something that all of a sudden poor Ford dealer has got this coloured car and they've had to slash the price so much, a bit like a wedding venue saying, yeah, you can get married on the 13th because nobody else wants it?
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, it's one of these kind of, obviously, superstition. Don't get married on the 13th. You can get deals a lot cheaper because nobody... It's bad luck or something like that. It's a brown car, kind of the 13th of weddings. I don't know.
Oh, well, there you go. Interesting.
So
jump into the comments.
Change the colour of your car. Yeah.
Change the colour of your car. And talking of changing the colour of your car, the news came out in the last 7 days. BMW showed us something rather interesting. If you ever get bored of the colour of your car or your car is a horrible colour, don't worry, BMW have got you covered. So this is the BMW iX. This is the M60 version with something called e-ink. And as you might be able to tell from the video footage, the ink stands for change of colour. Well, it doesn't stand for that necessarily. But they revealed this at the CES at Las Vegas, which is a massive show showing off technology in the United States of America. And BMW featured this. So the iX Flow featuring e-ink is the first car in the world whose exterior color can change at the touch of a button. That was the comment from the head of Project Stella Clark. This is going to get wordy, but it's quite interesting. The changing color of a car can make the car more efficient by taking into account light and dark colors in relation to reflecting sunlight and the absorption of thermal energy. So, for example, white surface reflects a lot more sunlight than a black one, obviously. So the black one will heat the vehicle and passenger compartment as a result of strong sunlight and high temperatures, and can be reduced by changing the exterior to a light color in the cooler weather. So essentially, you use less energy heating and cooling the car, which means in an electric car, which is what this is, you've got more power reserves and energy to get around the world. They work by having tiny little strips, LED strips with little color pigments, paint pigments at the end, which are then essentially plowed full of electricity to give you the desired effect and pigment of choice. They say not to worry. If anything was to break on it, it's relatively cheap to replace or repair. So maybe paint chips will be a thing of the past. But BMW showing off what would be every car wrapper's nightmare, because this essentially makes them redundant. This is the kind of thing I used to dream about as a child in the late 80s, early 90s. And it seems to be coming true. Our wildest dreams as car lovers seem to be coming true. The car that changes its own colour based on how you theoretically feel, if that was something you wanted to do. What do we reckon of this? It's pretty cool, right? And to give you an idea, this is an SUV, electric SUV for listeners, that basically changes colour with the touch of a button on the exterior.
I really like this. It is a concept, but it's rather cool, isn't it? I was thinking when kind of first heard, oh yeah, it changes colour, it was going to be like just basically a stage up from the boy racer iridescent car wraps, or kind of those hyper color T-shirts that you used to get as a kid that you could, like, would kind of just reflect heat. But this is awesome for it. A car that changes color, that's going to be phenomenal for challenging the speed cameras and the parking tickets, isn't it?
I didn't even
no,
think
officer.
about that.
I think you'll find my car is actually red. That's clearly a blue car speeding through those lights. I suppose it is one of those problems. If you choose the color of your car, say for example brown, that once you've kind of got it, you've kind of got it, unless you're going to be doing quite an expensive paint job. So this is very, very cool. I really, really like the idea about this.
Yeah.
Why not?
So
have you also seen that they're going to be bringing in as part of this model, the BMW theater screen option as well?
Yes. They've unveiled quite a bit of technology in the show.
Yeah.
We'll touch on the theatre screen because it needs a whole segment of its own. But they're basically turning your car into something that reflects your personality and a travelling fun piece. Is that a thing? I don't know. But if you
for other shows, it will be, but not us.
Yeah, true. You could watch Is It Fast in the back of your BMW iX. But, the question is, what colour, if you could pick one? Sue on Facebook, always green? Always green, Stu?
Always
green.
Thank you very much, Sue.
I imagine that's in relation to your footballing-related loyalties, which we will not go into right now because we haven't got time for you to bang on about it.
The year was 1875.
And apparently
no, we'll start that.
They play on green. I don't know. Yes, obviously Stu will pick his car in green. I would go for a deep mauve because you can.
Hi, Sue,
by the way. Not that you asked me, so thanks, mate. But there we go. The BMW iX Flow with e-ink. Change your brand new electric BMW SUV into any colour that you wish. It is a concept, but if it wasn't, would you get one? And if you did buy one, what colours would you choose to drive around in? We're very, very interested to know. Cars that change colour at the touch of a button. The future is orange, or any colour you like, according to BMW. And no, ladies and gentlemen, the show is not scripted. That does come from my vast knowledge of old adverts. You're welcome. I enjoy that. I think BMW are doing some very interesting stuff.
Yeah. I did see somebody also kind of commenting around this. It's like, I hope it can change shape as well because that's a really ugly car. It's like, no, I think it looks really nice. It looks like an angry Shogun helmet, and I think
Yes.
that works well for it.
Yeah, I think I like BMW's new styling. I know it's a bit
Yeah,
controversial, but I genuinely think once we got over the grill, everyone was going mad about the grill. But once you get over the new BMW grills, I think their design team is doing a pretty good job.
I was pro grill from the first time I saw it. I just liked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't. I was in
Uh,
the sod off. This is not a good grill camp. But now it's kind of grown on me a little bit. You see it in the flesh, and it's not so bad at all. But people do enjoy being able to stand out in their car, and there's almost no better way of standing out in a car than getting yourself in a Rolls Royce. And Rolls Royce in the last week, they gave us some very interesting news. Apparently, Rolls Royce have had their best sales performance in their 117-year history. So they sold 5,586 cars, Rolls Royce, last year globally, 1,836 more than they did in 2020, which was when obviously the coronavirus pandemic was really kicking in. And
as opposed to
460.
now where it's all calmed down.
Yeah, now it's all fine. As 461 more than they did in 2019, which I guess is really quite a good yardstick. They haven't given us how many cars sold where and what the models, or rather what models were most successful, most sought after. But they are saying that the growth has been driven principally by the new Ghost Saloon. And bolstered by the launch of their more dynamically orientated Ghost Black Badge in October, the video of which our viewers can see the launch video here. But Autocar, our friends at Autocar magazine, have managed to do some digging so that we don't have to find out how well Rolls-Royce sold in the UK. Would you like to know how Rolls-Royce did in the UK? Because it's quite interesting.
Yes, I really would. Go for
So,
it.
data sourced by Autocar. Thank you.
Thank you, Autocar.
Thank you, Autocar. Don't sue us. Revealed that the Cullinan, their SUV, was the most popular model in the UK, sold 128 units. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but each unit's
No.
about £250,000.
Yeah.
They sold 88 Ghosts, again, about 170 grand up. 41 Wraiths, which is the Rolls Royce that I would pick, if anyone's asking. Another cool $250,000. 33 Dawns, so a Wraith with no roof. And then 23 Phantoms, so their big daddy, the one that you want to get in the back of on your Uber XXXL. So that means 313 Rolls Royces, were sold.
Royce, yeah.
Were sold in the UK in 2021. Doesn't sound like a lot. I think Asia's probably their biggest market. But isn't that interesting? And Dubai and the Emirates and stuff. But isn't that interesting? 313 Rolls-Royce, brand new Rolls-Royce sold in the UK last year.
Very interesting. I was wondering what you did with your Is It Fast Christmas bonus this year. I'll tell you how the other half lives, listeners and viewer, for us there. The Ghost is just a beautiful car, especially the black one that they're currently watching the video for. Just absolutely beautiful. I believe that they've actually got orders running well into the third quarter of 2022 as well. And Rolls-Royce are very much just the undisputed leader of the kind of £200,000 plus car level. You can say massively during a global pandemic, the people who buy cars at this level of prices financially probably haven't been suffering as much there. But I'm reliably informed that you can fill a Ghost with a lot of BYOB and head to the city of Westminster for after works party, not party thing as well. That has been signed off today, I believe.
I have heard similar things, funnily enough. But tell us, if you were one of the brand new billionaires that exist in the world today, would you spend your hard-earned cash on a Rolls Royce? And then would you take that Rolls Royce to a work event with wine, cheese, and dignitaries. We
And a
are
baby.
and a baby. We are very, very interested to know. I think it's interesting. Rolls Royce are doing very well. They obviously made the right decision making an SUV because the Cullinan, at least in the UK, was their most sold vehicle. Probably reflected across the world. If I'm honest with you, I was in Dubai recently. I barely mention it,
No.
and I saw more Cullinans in my time there than I saw in London in an entire year. So they are selling in great numbers. So fair play. But Rolls Royce sold more in their than ever in their history last year. How
Yeah.
do you feel about that, listeners and viewers?
Well-deserved success. That's it.
Probably they are a good brand. They're good at what they do. They're just a little bit beyond our means at the moment. Well,
Yeah.
most
Well,
of our
certainly
means.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if you are into your value for money, no, do you know what? I was about to describe this brand as value for money, but they are value for money, but they're not cheap. We got news out of Scandinavia over the last few days. Volvo have made their intentions clear that they are going to keep making estates and saloons. Now, listeners and viewers, just to be warned, this is the time of year where manufacturers come out and tell us what they're going to do, both this year and in the coming years. So this is what this is going to involve most of the show this week. But the most sold Volvo is the SUV XC60, sold 162,600 units in the first 3 quarters of 2021, which is more than the S60, the V60, the S90, and the V90 combined. Why is this relevant for car lovers? Well, Volvo made their name on the estates that they made, some of the saloons, but mainly the estates, and the fact that they have V and S numbers in front of their numeric range. They have said that they are unlikely to carry on the V and the S designations, as they have confirmed, and this was actually last year, but they confirmed while we're talking about it, that future models will have names rather than alphanumerics. So so in the future, the Volvo estate, you might go out and buy yourself a Volvo Stuart rather than a Volvo V90. It's good news that Volvo is still going to be making estates. A Volvo estate is the workhorse of Is It Fast because it's the best. Volvo making estates, if they stopped, there'd be a revolution, right?
There would be. I can see that the old man in you is absolutely delighted by this. You're pulling up your trousers so your waistband is kind of up here type level. That is not to be misconstrued. We're not that type of podcast. There's a pack of Werther's Originals next to your desk, but sadly, Volvos do cost more than they used to. It is very interesting that the S&V lines are going to be getting replaced to something maybe a bit more attractive to customers. No mention of when the replacement is due just yet, I don't think.
No.
But the S60 sales really have plummeted, and they were already at a pretty low point with the Polestar brand also under Geely selling saloons. I'm not convinced the Volvo brand will be selling the mid-price 3 Series competitor saloons in a couple of years.
I agree.
Yeah.
They've gone the other way, really. I think I love the new Volvo estates. I love the new V60. I love the new V90. I think the V90 is arguably too large for UK roads. If I'm honest, it's definitely aimed at that American market and the Asian market, which is completely fine. Bigger roads, more space, makes sense. You need to make something for them. I think the V60, which is around about the size of our V70 that we've got as our workhorse here, kind of tells everything you need to know about the fact that cars are getting ever bigger. There is also an XC60 in my family, which kind of shows how loved the SUV is. Werther's Originals, wrong. Something I learned off my father, who is a long-term Volvo owner. Always keep a packet of oatcakes in the glove box. So he did that ever since I was a kid. We've had Volvos all the way through me growing up, which kind of shows. But the glove box to this day in my cars have got a packet of oatcakes. Quote, just in case you get caught in the snow. So we always
Yeah.
have salt and a spade in the back, and we always have oatcakes and water in the front. Always.
I would actually defend your dad on that. I used to work over in the Kingdom of Fife, and during the winter, when the wind picked up, the first thing they would do, this is going back in the day, they would shut down the bridge, and then you had to go via Kincardine, with like basically about 1 million other people. It would take you an additional 5 hours to go up that way, round back into civilization, also known as Edinburgh. So being able to have oatcakes or some kind of the breakfast bars in your glove box,
Yes.
lifesaver. I will
Yes.
defend
Yes.
Mr. Paulo Senior for that one.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can tell the parents who learned how to drive in Scotland when snow was a thing, because that is a fallout. But tell us in the comments: are you happy that Volvo confirmed they're going to still make their estates? Do you care? Are you the owner of a Volvo SUV, and therefore you've obviously made the jump from estate ownership to SUV ownership? And how are you finding that ownership? I just want to take a quick break at this point just to thank everybody for listening, watching, being part of Is It Fast Live, the weekly hand-picked news from the world of cars and motorsport that we enjoy, and therefore we hope you do too. If you are listening or watching, make sure you do follow us on your social media platform of choice to make sure that you don't miss not just our live shows like this one here, but also our feature-length documentary pieces, our live motorsport, our highlights from the world of motorsport, car reviews, both written and filmed. So if you like watching stuff, you can watch it. If you like reading stuff, you can read it. But make sure that you do subscribe on your social media platform of choice to listen and watch everything that we do over the next year. Thank you very much. That is your public information message done for the show.
Are we allowed to say how excited we are about 2022? It's going to be massive. Yeah.
I think we're allowed to. I mean, I'm trying to, we're putting a very kind of stiff upper lip on the whole thing and going, oh, it's just going to be another year. It'll be fine. But the reality is a lot is happening at Is It Fast. If you are a petrol lover, an EV lover, a motorsport lover, someone that likes finding out about stuff that you didn't know about previously, then this is genuinely going to be the home for you in 2022 and beyond. We have a whole host of weird and wonderful stuff, things that fly, things that move through the water, things that go through the tarmac, podcasts, interviews with interesting people, interviews with not so interesting people, so don't tune in for those. But all sorts of... I know, poor Gary. But we do have all sorts of... I forgot we did that. All sorts of interesting stuff. Interesting stuff like this. Toyota, they disappeared from the world of performance vehicles for a while, but they've come back, and they came back with the GR Yaris. And on Friday, because this is Wednesday as we go out live, on Friday the firm are going to be showing their brand new concepts, 2 performance car concepts. One is a super hot version of what you're looking at now if you're watching us, which is the GR Yaris, the much-loved 3-door, 4-wheel drive hatchback. They're going to be giving it basically a bit of a... bit of a steroid boost, essentially. So it's going to be given a big wing, apparently. They didn't really show us all that much. But it's just going to be like a super hot version. But they're also going to be showing off a racing dedicated concept car. This is directly from the Toyota blurb. A racing dedicated concept car akin to a GT3 spec car that will be going alongside the Le Mans winning GR10 hybrid and various other Toyota race cars as a showcase of the brand's commitment to motorsports. This is going to be on Friday at the Tokyo Auto Salon. So this is going to be very, very exciting. The GT3 kind of car that they've shown us in the press release looks a little bit like a Mercedes GT car, but it will definitely be something special. Toyota do have an incredible motorsport heritage. They obviously did very well at Le Mans over the last 4 or 5 years, let's not forget. And the GR Yaris the Yaris was also the World Rally Champion last year, if I remember correctly, as well. So that is all very exciting that they're going to bring us even hotter versions of it. Excited about the Toyota unveiling, a double unveiling on Friday?
I am, yeah. Car companies really do love to give us the mystery reveals involving shadows and fog machines, don't they? You think there was some kind of like bulk deal for fog machines at some point, so we're just going to have to keep using them. From the disguise shots that we've seen and that were on the video here, it doesn't half look identical to the Mercedes AMG GT that you spoke of, but it also
100%.
looks like one of those large-nosed borzoi dogs. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Immediately and obviously, the modifications, substantial rear wing, a nice kind of gaping intake on the bonnet for it as well. The spoke front end, which obviously to me kind of hints that they're going to be focusing on enhanced aerodynamics, dynamic ability, all that kind of jazz for it. I really don't have the best record in guessing what a car is going to look like. We remember this from last year. So we're really just going to have to wait for Auto Saloon Show next week, aren't we?
Well, end of this week. So Friday.
End of this week, my apologies. Yeah.
But with the time difference, we'll be waking up on Friday and we'll already know what it looks like because it is happening on the other side of the world in Japan. But tell us, are you excited about the fact that we're getting a hotter version of the GR Yaris? The GR Yaris is one of my favourite cars of the last few years. They are absolute animals. I drove one very, 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 very quickly. And by quickly, I mean for a short space of time. I didn't drive very, very quickly.
You drive responsibly.
Yeah, I do. Please do drive responsibly. And it was pretty aggressive. I'll be completely honest with you. And then obviously a brand new GT style car, presumably for racing. So very excited. That makes sense considering that the World Endurance Championship criteria is changing. So maybe this is in line with that and the fact that they are making the GT3 criteria for racing in the WEC series across the world the series to go to rather than some of the others. So interesting from Toyota.
It's also kind of unclear at this stage whether Toyota is going to update its GR Yaris for here. Like I know they're offering the modifications and upgrade packages for the existing owners, but is it just simply a showcase for these cars with their unlimited potential?
Potentially. I mean, the GR Yaris was always going to be a limited to, well, according to the manufacturer, limited to 25,000 pieces, mainly because, like, a lot of homologation specials, they just needed a road-going version so that they could race it. 25,000 GR Yaris around the world, completely sold out. Never went to the US, for example. You couldn't buy one in the US, so maybe in another year or so they'll go, oh, actually. But then, that said, Toyota have been pretty good at sticking to their guns on this type of thing. But tell us what you think. Are you excited about an even more deadly GR Yaris and a GT3 from Toyota? Very exciting. Right at the beginning of the year as well, which is also pretty exciting. And being able to know where you are in the year and what time it is, it means, of course, what time is it, Stu?
Why, Stu, it's time to TikTok.
It is time to TikTok. Every single week, we scour the internet to bring you the latest in wrist-mounted fashion accessory, be it big, be it small. Either way, we will TikTok all day long. This week, we have gone as far afield as the Philippines. So, in TikTok this week, our regular chatty segment about watches, we bring you this. This is the Máquina Realm 1. Máquina, of course, being Spanish for machine. It is, and I'll let you wax lyrical about it in a bit, but this is from semi-premium watch manufacturer from the back about $700. If you order one now, you'll get one in about 3 weeks. I know there's a lot of brass in there, and there's a lot of gold-plated brass in there. And I know that you also get 2 straps with it. A leather strap that you can see here, and a rubberized strap that you get with it as well. But the Máquina Realm Thoughts on this,
Oh,
Stu?
what a good looking piece. It's refreshing to see watch brands still trying to make new designs and not just simply regurgitating the same old formulas again and again. Unusual placement of the crown, positioned between the lugs at the 6 o'clock position, really adds a nice kind of boldness to the piece. I really like it. Unconventional for us there. I love it with the kind of the brown crocodile leather strap. Whether it's real crocodile leather, I'm not quite sure. It is from the Philippines, so maybe.
Yeah.
But matted black dial with this kind of recessed sector pattern on it. Metallic Arabic hour markings as well for the odd numbers, and again the kind of the concave shapes for the even numbers and the hour markers. The gold-plated hands are a beautiful touch on it. This is going to be a timepiece that is going to catch somebody's eye if you're wearing this, and they're not necessarily going to know where the manufacturer, but they're going to appreciate it. And at just over 500 quid, that's a very nice cost for it. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty impressed with it. I'll be honest with you. It's not massive on your wrist. I think it's like 42 millimeter kind of vibe. So not too bad at all. Yeah, I think it's interesting. They make a variety of these within the range in Machina, but this is by far one of my favourites. I think it's a very interesting design. It doesn't go with everything. I will say that. I think you like the picture we're looking at here. Suit wearer, daytime suit wearer. This is definitely a daytime suit situation. Possibly an evening cash situation, but not much more. You're not wearing it on your wedding day, but it's
if you were a wedding
nice.
guest just wearing a summer jacket,
yes.
you'd get away with that now.
100%.
Jeans and a t-shirt, absolutely not.
Yeah, even though I probably still would, but then I've got no class. But yes, or taste, yeah. But very well done, Machina. Stu and I both approve. The Machina Realm won just over £500, $700. Take about 2 to 3 weeks to get here. We can't recommend them highly enough. I've never seen one in the flesh, but we'd be very interested if there's anywhere in the UK that we can have a quick look at one without purchasing it. We spent our budget on watches early doors. Then that would be great. The Machina Realm. Very well done. Tell us what you all think of that, because it's quite a nice piece. And out of the Philippines, which is interesting. I don't put the Philippines down as a watchmaking nation.
No, you don't, but they've pleasantly surprised us. So keep it up, guys. Thank you.
I completely agree. I would be sorely tempted, actually, if I'm honest with you. I think interesting. Anyway, news from F1. So the F1 world is this time of year either really crazy, hectic, busy, or not busy at all. But we are the latter at the moment. It's getting pretty busy. So news came out of Aston Martin this week, a little bit from left field. Otmar Schaffnauer. He, for those of you who don't know, Aston Martin Formula One team's chief executive officer and team principal. So quite an important man. He hasn't got a job. So he's been part of the team there since... Well, he's been in F1
the past 12 years.
Yeah, quite a long time. So when they were... he's been a team principal at Jordan, BWT. He was Force India's #1 man. He's been involved... his first involvement, 1999, BAR Honda, back in the day. So he's a very well-proven team principal. He's an incredible engineer. There were reports that he wasn't getting on particularly well with Mr. Stroll Sr., who, of course, bought the Force India team when it ran into finance trouble. He's also the owner of Aston Martin. So there we go. Silverstone-based Otmar is gone. So it does open up quite an interesting hole. He was linked with Alpine last year, so maybe
Yeah,
he'll end up there.
that's why for me it's not such a massive shock. Yeah, back in November, it was reported he was all set to take up a senior role at Alpine. He, of course, rubbished these rumours, and now he's out the door. So I wouldn't be overly shocked if his break from F1 is an extremely short one. Obviously, being the Silverstone base for 12 years under 3 different names of Force India, Racing Point as well as, of course, Aston Martin. Sensible money for his replacement. Martin Whitmarsh is currently the group executive of Aston Martin for the performance technologies. Probably the sensible bet. But how would you rate Otmar's achievements over the past 12 years? Is it a bit underwhelming or admirable considering the team he's worked with and obviously the larger name competitors he's had to face?
First of all, that question out to the wider public. Tell us how you think he did. Tell us how Aston Martin. I know you weren't asking that question directly to me, but I'm going to say I think he did a smashing job. I think he's well liked and well regarded within the industry. He did a good job under very trying circumstances, particularly with Force India. That was really difficult.
Yeah.
Because, budget aside, the public scrutiny of the team was huge at certain points. I think he's just a victim of a billionaire wanting to get loads of results really quick. Obviously, Force India and Racing Point Mercedes, whatever you want to call it, they did a really good job. They won a race last year or year before. They finished quite high up the Constructors' Championship. I think they finished 7th or something. No, 4th, sorry. And then they made that transition to Aston Martin. There was a rule change which did impact a lot of the Mercedes kind of backed engined cars, and they tumbled down, finished 7th in the Constructors' Championship as Aston Martin, and they didn't do half as well. Probably a clash of personalities between Otmar and Stroll Senior, and he's kind of just decided he's not up for it, and I can completely understand that. I think he's going to end up at Alpine. Personally,
sensible idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's going to end up at Alpine, and I think Aston Martin will go with. I think they'll go with someone a little bit left field, if I'm honest. Someone that will be thankful for the opportunity and therefore will just do what he's told and will toe the party line. That's what I think is going to happen there, personally. But
it's brilliant, isn't it? Every sport has their nutter billionaires who have got unrealistic expectations and are basically not shy from wielding the axe.
Yeah. It's been
what a time to be alive.
Yeah, crazy billionaires doing crazy things. But we'll see. Aston Martin are suffering on the motorsport front and suffering on the retail front for their cars as well. But tell us what you think. Harshly judged or successful? Otmar Szafner, very, very well liked, popular around the grid, but no more at Aston Martin. Where will we see him next? Who knows? But we do finish this week on something a little bit left field, but not so left field now that I think about it. We're talking there about sackings in the world of F1, but if things are to be believed, people aren't going to be necessarily needed in the world of high-intensity, top-level motorsports soon. So we finished this week on the news that the first high-speed race between robots, artificial intelligence, has taken place in Las Vegas. The Indy Autonomous Challenge was held late last week at the LA Motor Speedway circuit. Dallara, that are race car manufacturers, they basically went out to a bunch of students and said, right, let's race each other, come up with some ideas. And then that was it. They came up with a grid of autonomous racers. They look like little Formula One cars, but without a driver. And they basically raced each other the top speed, do you know this? 173 miles an hour by AI. They were racing each other, overtaking each other at speeds over 110 miles an hour. In the end, it was Polymove, the team from Italy, with their race car that they affectionately called Minerva, that took home the victory and a $150,000 prize. But it's here. Remote control cars, but big style with brains.
Yeah.
How cool is this?
This is awesome and fantastic setting at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as well. They do look a lot like the F1 cars. So this IAC series, that they've kind of called it, it's going to be interesting. It amazes me that it's students. Like back in the day, the engineering and technology students basically had Robot Wars to compete in. Now they've got this.
Yeah, it's a step up, isn't it?
Just a bit, yeah. It really has kind of changed days. Fantastic use of technology. But here I am to kind of poo-poo everybody's party, as I like to do. Without human drivers to interject the drama and the controversy into races, at the end of the day, they're programmed machines. They're not going to be taking risks. They're not going to be doing it. There's going to have sensors so they don't get close to other drivers. Other vehicles, not drivers. And the thing is, part of the thrill of motor racing, I'm going to say it is the danger. It is a humanoid behind the wheel taking those risks. If I wanted to watch a couple of cars go round and round, I'd basically just put F1 on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's where I am for it. Extremely impressive, amazing speeds, brilliant footage. But I don't really want to see my driver's seats, which normally would have a human in them, just packed with electronics.
I can see your point. I agree to a certain extent. I think it's very cool. I think you're right.
Yeah.
The human element is really what makes the difference because you get invested in the team and the people behind the team.
Yeah.
When AI is doing it, when it's not really the same because, all right, well done. It's a incredibly cool feat of human engineering. Congratulations to all the teams that took part.
Yeah.
I don't know what the plans are moving forward. I don't know if this is just a one-off experiment or whether this is the precursor to what will be potentially a racing series that takes off around the world. We've seen all sorts of interesting racing series take off around the world in the last couple of years, and a couple that will be taking off this year in the airs across the sea, electronic racing, EV racing of all sorts of different types. But it's one of these I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely interesting, and massive hats off to the students, especially the guys from Italy that won. It's more to show off what we can do, not necessarily what should be done.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
but still,
that's what I'm going to. It is cool. Yeah,
it is cool. But yes, I agree. But tell us what you think. Is this just an experiment, Scalextrics gone global, or is this a sign of things to come? Is this going to be something that you would tune in and watch on the regular? I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think so. But thank you very much for tuning into Is It Fast Live, the weekly magazine program where myself and another guy with exactly the same name pick from the world of news that's happened in the automotive and motorsport space. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Stu, thank you very much for being with us as always.
Thank you very much for having me, Stu. You keep inviting me back, and it's tough to say no to those beautiful eyes.
This is it. I'm contractually obliged to keep having you back. Until next week, thank you very much for watching, very much for listening. I will implore you again, make sure you do follow us on your social media platform of choice to make sure you don't miss a single bit of video, copy, and copy means writing, or listening goodness if you are listening to us through your ear holes. But until next week on Is It Fast Live, it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him. And remember, life is like a helicopter. I do not know how to operate a helicopter.